Pituitary gland is also called the hypophysis. It is considered the master endocrine gland of the body because it controls so many other glands. It is found in the brain and it is attached to the hypothalamus via a structure called the infundibulum. Notice that the pituitary has two glands, not one. The anterior pituitary gland is made of epithelial tissue and is considered a true gland and is also called the adenohypophysis. Notice there is no direct connection between the adenohypophysis and the hypothalamus above. On the other hand, the posterior pituitary, also called the neurohypophysis, is made of nervous tissue. It is directly connected to the hypothalamus because neurons, bodies of neurons in the hypothalamus have axons that secrete their hormones from the posterior pituitary. So the two hormones secreted by the posterior pituitary are actually made in the hypothalamus. The posterior pituitary gland secretes two hormones, oxytocin and ADH. ADH stands for anti-diuretic hormone. Remember that these hormones are made by the bodies of neurons in the hypothalamus. The hormone is sent via the axons of these neurons to the posterior pituitary where they are secreted into blood vessels. The most important hormone secreted by the posterior pituitary is the ADH hormone. ADH stands for anti-diuretic hormone. Anti means against. Diuretic is a substance that makes us pee, create urine. Anti will mean a substance that retains water and prevents us from secreting urine. Another name for the hormone is vasopressin, which refers to the other function of the hormone, which is a slight constriction of peripheral blood vessels. The main target organ for ADH are kidneys, more specifically the kidney tubules. The effects of the hormone will be water retention inside kidney tubules. This will cause a decrease in urine volume, hence the name antidiuretic. As we decrease urine volume, the water that is retained is going to be returned to the blood vessels, which is going to increase blood volume. Increasing blood volume has the result of increasing blood pressure. So ADH is one of the hormones that increase blood pressure. When secreted in large quantities, ADH is going to constrict blood vessels, which is further going to increase blood pressure. By constricting peripheral blood vessels, blood is shunted to the middle of the body, where large blood vessels are found, and blood pressure inside the large blood vessels will increase. ADH main target organ are the kidneys, more specifically the kidney tubules. Kidney tubules are structures where urine is being formed. The job of the kidneys is to filter blood. The filtrate is collected in these kidney tubules. With the filtrate comes a lot of water, which should be reabsorbed back into the blood vessels. The presence of ADH increases the volume of water that is being reabsorbed by these kidney tubules. Therefore, putting more water into blood, increasing blood volume, which has the effect of increasing blood pressure. Therefore, ADH is one of the hormones that increase blood pressure. The hormone is secreted in response to small changes in blood osmolarity, meaning small changes in hydration or dehydration. It is also secreted when there are large changes in blood pressure. If our blood pressure drops, one of the responses would be the secretion of ADH, which will increase blood volume, increasing blood pressure. One of the abnormal conditions of low ADH secretion is called diabetes insipidus. The name diabetes is a misnomer, meaning this is not truly diabetes, which has nothing to do with blood glucose levels. Instead, it has to do with an extreme low ADH secretion, which means low blood volume or increase water loss in urine. Because of the signs and symptoms of the condition are excessive thirst, remember, we're losing water from the body, so we're dehydrated. Excessive thirst, which is called polydipsia, and excessive urination, which is called polyuria, these two are also signs and symptoms of diabetes. That is the reason why the condition was given the misnomer diabetes. The second name, insipidus, means that the urine being put has no sugar in it. It has no taste. Insipid means taste. So diabetes insipidus is not a condition of blood glucose. It's a condition of low ADH secretion, which causes large water loss, excessive polydipsia, and polyuria due to the dehydration. The anterior pituitary secretes many hormones, which can be divided into two groups, the tropic hormones and the non-tropic hormones. The tropic hormones, tropic means to turn, are the hormones to turn on other glands. These tropic hormones are TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone, and FSH and LH, which are combined, called gonadotropic hormones, because they're going to turn on the gonads of the body, which are the testes in males and ovaries in females. The non-gonadotropic hormones are two, growth hormone and prolactin. Anterior pituitary hormones, which are called tropic hormones, are called so because they turn on other glands. TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, affects the thyroid gland and causes it to secrete its hormones, thyroid 3 and thyroid 4 hormones. Adrenocorticotropic hormone, in turn, travels to the adrenal cortex, which is a gland sitting on top of the kidneys, and stimulates the adrenal cortex into secreting its hormones called corticosteroids. Examples of corticosteroids will be cortisol hormone and aldosterone hormone. Gonadotropic hormones are two, FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and LH, luteinizing hormones. These tropic hormones are going to affect the gonads of the body, which are the ovaries in females and the testes in males. These hormones are going to stimulate gonads and testes into secreting its hormones. In the case of in the case of the ovaries, estrogen will be secreted. In the case of the testes, testosterone hormones will be secreted. There are two anterior pituitary hormones which are non-tropic hormones. Those are growth hormone and PRL. Growth hormone has a profound effect throughout the body, which we'll discuss later. PRL is involved in the milk production. Anterior pituitary hormones are controlled by hormones secreted in the hypothalamus. So this is a hormonal control system in which hypothalamic hormones travel through the hypothalamic hypophyseal portal system, reach the anterior pituitary and stimulate the anterior pituitary into secreting its hormones. In some cases, the hypothalamic hormones may inhibit the anterior pituitary into secreting its hormones. Hypothalamic hormones are secreted in the hypothalamus. They travel through the hypophyseal hypothalamic portal system, which is a system of blood vessels that connect the hypothalamus to the anterior pituitary. In the anterior pituitary, these hormones are going to either stimulate or inhibit the release of anterior pituitary hormones. There are two types of hypothalamic hormones, the releasing hormones and the inhibiting hormones. Notice that all the releasing hormones will have an R for releasing on their names, whereas the two inhibiting hormones will have an I in their name for inhibiting. Releasing hormones are going to cause the release of a specific anterior pituitary hormones. Inhibiting hormones, which there's only two of them, will cause the inhibition, or it will stop the release of the hormones into which they act. So this is the way hypothalamic hormones work. For example, GHRH, growth hormone releasing hormone, will act on the anterior pituitary and cause the release of human growth hormone. PRH, prolactin releasing hormone, will act on the anterior pituitary, causing the release of prolactin. TRH, thyrotropin releasing hormone, will act on the anterior pituitary and cause the release of TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. GnRH, gonadotropic releasing hormones, will act on the anterior pituitary and cause the release of FSH and LH, the two gonadotropic hormones. CRH, corticotropic releasing hormone, acts on the anterior pituitary and causes the release of ACTH, adrenocorticotropic hormone.